State Supreme Court also deciding to put recreational marijuana on the November ballot. The proposal, known as Amendment 3, would legalize the non-medical personal use of marijuana. This would apply to adults 21 and older. At least 60% of voters must approve the measure for it to pass. 5 judges ruled favorably on the measure, while 2 opposed. So, 2 very hot button issues that will very likely motivate some voters to the polls in November.
Yeah, we can expect that. So let's get right out to CBS News Miami's Jim DeFede. Jim, with these big developments today, what do the next 7 months look like?
So let's start with the easy one on the marijuana. What it means is you're going to see a lot of commercials. The company that really wants this passed, that invested $40 million to gather the signatures to put this on the ballot, is a company named Truly. They're traded on the New York Stock Exchange. They are a major player in the marijuana industry. They spent $40 million, as I said, to get this on the ballot. If they spend $40 million on the ballot, you're going to be inundated with commercials for the next 7 months on this issue to get it past the 60%. Now let's talk about the real fight on abortion. With abortion, this is a fascinating ruling what the court really did here. What the court did was they took away with one hand and they gave with another. What they basically said was, we're going to take away the women's right to have an abortion after 6 weeks by affirming the 15-week decision and therefore triggering a 6-week ban in just 30 days. But at the same time, they're saying, but we're going to let voters ultimately decide the issue of abortion in November if they can get to 60%. So it's going to be, like I said, I don't think this changes the dynamics in Florida in terms of making Florida a swing state that Joe Biden, for instance, could win. But it is going to be a fascinating race where you're going to see a lot of attention and energy. And let me just give you an early preview. Tomorrow, for instance, Hakeem Jeffries, the Democratic leader in the House, and Xavier Becerra, the Health and Human Services Secretary, are going to be in South Florida talking about reproductive freedom. Very interesting, the timing of that. Well, so you're going to see those voices down here.
That is interesting because we've been hearing so much talk that the Democrats aren't going to compete in Florida, that Florida is a red state. So now, is it because of, you think, these rulings that we're going to see a change in that?
I don't know that you're going to see a lot of Joe Biden ads, but you're going to see a lot of where this issue plays into effect. And it could affect certain other races, some of the congressional races, and could certainly have an impact on state House and state Senate races up and down the ballot. So that's going to be one of the things that could have a real impact. But again, this is a major day that took place here. The Supreme Court waited more than 6 months to issue their ruling on the 15-week abortion ban. And in a way, politically, to be honest with you, for the folks who want to support abortion, this is really almost the best case scenario, because what's going to happen now is in 30 days, women who want to have an abortion but don't realize they're pregnant until week 6, week 7, week 8, which is very common, it's going to be too late. And will that energize, will that galvanize those women to start taking this issue and a lot of other people to take this issue more seriously coming in November? Add to that, so not only from the issue of women, but with young people turning out on marijuana, it's going to be interesting to see what the polls say in the coming weeks and months.
So we know voters will decide in November, but some pivotal deadlines coming up that impact women in the coming weeks.
Look, May 1st, everything changes in the state of Florida. The vast, overwhelming majority of abortions in this state do take place prior to 15 weeks. But there are reasons why women, previously, it used to be 24 weeks in the state of Florida, there is a reason why sometimes women need to have an abortion in week 18, week 20. That's when you start getting the amniocentesis, other decisions that can complicate a pregnancy. We are now going to go to 6 weeks. We are basically going to be the same as Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia. One of the questions that was asked of me recently was, well, if a woman wants to have an abortion, she can just sort of travel out of state. Well, good luck with that. If you've got money, you can travel out of state to get an abortion. Poor women will not be able to have that. And where do you have to travel? Nowhere in the South. I think you got to go to either North Carolina or Virginia. I got to double check where the closest state is. That's what the situation looks like here. We were getting women from other states, particularly those southern states, to come into Florida. That will now end, and Florida becomes one of the most restrictive states in the country now on abortion on May 1st.
And suddenly this election coming coming up in November just got a lot more interesting, didn't it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, sure did. Will certainly invigorate, especially women, I think, to head to the polls.
It's going to go. You're going to see a lot of fighting on both sides.
Okay.
Jim, thank you.